Greetings, everybody out there in covert concert land, whoever else might hear this. I hope everybody is doing well today. This is Art4Truth. We are Art4Truth, and it is time for another happy hour jam. Starting it off early tonight. Today's Thoughtful Thursday. Yes, there is indeed a lot to think about. In fact, there is everything to think about if you choose to think about everything. Or somehow try to put it in your brain. Somehow have it explained. The meaning of infinity and the connection of all that could possibly be. Thing to be able to think. It's an even more profound thing to be able to, to be aware without really thinking about it. It just can be hard to do. I'm, for one, very much an overthinker, but I also tried hard to be able to open up my sort of inner awareness that's not about conscious thought. It's about a flow and an energy. Often it involves a lot of color and form and patterns, but meaning, feeling, purpose. I've said it before on one of these Thoughtful Thursdays. It's, our colors, thoughts, and things like that. Those types of brain connections. But I think that awareness beyond thinking can be aided, of course, like by meditation. That's one of the things, right? Up on the top of the Himalayas and meditate with the gurus in the clouds, and then on down. But there's truth in that essence of being and that awareness. I get that. Not everybody is capable of getting into that level. But I think that having something of that nature, it's my thoughts anyways, this, kind of that pure quest, that infancy, that connection to some great beyond, in very many different levels and gravity should be more incorporated, I think, into our regular cognition. And I think one way to do that without it being at all religious, because it's not about religion, or even spirituality, it's really just about like awareness and a larger beyond thought, beyond body awareness. And I think that having things like abstract art, for example, more prevalent in our everyday societies and our everyday being, our everyday activities, would encourage a larger connection to that awareness. There's something about abstract art, and I 100% believe this. And it's been something that's been incorporated in the past. It's part of its essence and incorporation, at least into Western culture, is that connection to that that sense of that larger awareness. And when you have art integrated into your life that doesn't just throw you an idea, doesn't illustrate something you see on every day, even if it's in a different way, but presents with you the power of color and form on your consciousness for its own sake, for the sake of that particular composition to exist in your world. And if you incorporate that into your daily being, your life, your interactions with people, your interactions with the world, It can affect how you eat food. It can affect how you grow plants. If you've never, if you even start. I mean, the point is that it really and truly affects that part of the brain that opens us up to a beyond ordinary awareness. And that beyond ordinary awareness helps us to have the extraordinary in our ordinary lives. So yes, I think abstract art and abstract reality, abstract vision, abstract music, an abstract perception is absolutely essential. I think it should to be incorporated into our everyday way of being and seeing. Here's another thing. This is, I don't want to call it debate. Matter of discussion, perhaps? A matter of philosophy, a matter of a conversation. And that is this. How much does accident as serendipity benefit our lives, particularly in art and music? Which is to say, if one is painting and they don't get a stroke, quote unquote, right in a place or of a way that they thought would work or that they were intending, and the same thing with music. Playing along and all of a sudden, whoops. So here's the question, so that can happen in life. In fact, life will always throw us little things, whether it's of our own doing or someone else they're doing, that may interrupt our composition, so to speak. Interrupt our patterns and our routines. And do we learn how to be fluid and work with it and make lemon meringue, lemon cream, lemon tincture, lemon face cream, lemon mist, perfume out of our lemons? Or do we scoff that we don't have oranges and throw the lemons away? I say the lemons provide so much, and we should incorporate lemons into our lives. I'll tell you what, there's times that I'm playing music and I'm playing and it sounds really good, and then a note gets interrupted, or I get off into thought and I don't hit the scale right or something. And sometimes even I, in my autonomism and my wanting to incorporate everything, including some accident or mistake or whatever into life, can feel it and get almost irritated. And then sometimes I'll listen back and it's like, oh, that one note. But really, and I think this is a benefit as far as exploring this artistically, a benefit in painting as opposed to music. Big benefit is that in the larger scheme of things, it can be incorporated. It can be used to reissue an idea. So many times something like that's happened, and I've been like, oh, okay, and then I'll move on to the next thing and it'll be awesome, or I'll use it somehow to make this cool serendipitous composition or bring out this idea, and it can be a beautiful thing. And then there's times where it's not so much, doesn't feel that way at all. And it's an interesting, I think anyways, it's something to think about. It's an interesting concept, or an interesting dichotomy in that. I believe that it's important for us to be able to incorporate these elements into our lives, because again, that's kind of what nature does. while continuing to try to minimize a lack of competence in your ability to compose. If they're, to be blunt or objective, I guess. One of the things about art and music, you're certainly not going to hurt anybody if you're not a competent, trained musician or artist. You can still continue to connect with what that is and that music in your own way, and make something cool and meaningful to you. Very meaningful to others. Having a sense of striving to, doing something very, very well and astutely and without what we might call imperfection. There's something important to that, I think, but at the same time, I think it's important that we reevaluate what that sense of perfection is. If I rehearse something 6 billion times and I get it exactly right so I can go up and play it and it doesn't, it's note for note and there's no mistakes, have I just coordinated my muscles and trained myself to do something robotically? What if I go up and play something completely different and improvisational every time and not know what I'm doing, and try something that I've never tried before every time and it doesn't always go right, Isn't that something that we should incorporate? That spirit, what can happen from that energy, that part of art, should incorporate that into our ideas of perfection and striving. I think there's something to that, honestly. To have both. To understand both. To work them in. The Florentine and the Venetian working hand in hand together to make a painter/art history reference that my mentor Blodgett used to use. He used to talk about the Florentine and the Venetian. The Florentine being a little bit more linear, and the Venetian being more without boundaries, more about blending. He said it like this, and I think he got this from one of his mentors, David McCosh. It was like, the Florentine will know how to paint, but not what. And the Venetian will know what to paint, but not how. I think that's how it went. And of course, they both knew how and what to the degree they did, but the idea was that the Florentine was the more scholared academic, and the Venetian was sort of like the ideas, the energy, the ether of it. That was my understanding of it anyways. Thank you for listening, hearing my thoughts on Thoughtful Thursday, these ideas, concepts, musings, and so on. And I hope other people are thinking about things like how art affects the larger world and what it means in the greater scope of our connections to the universe. Because it's real, it's deep, it's all paved throughout our history and beyond, and it's right there for us and always will be. A thought, if our musical instruments had, well, let's start with AI. Let's say that I could actually have a conversation with my guitar, and it had not autonomy, because then what's the point really, but maybe if you played the guitar, it was more like playing with another musician rather than, it being an extension of yourself. Maybe it's not even AI, it's anthropomorphized, or somehow find a way to incorporate and or find the consciousness in non-animate objects. Maybe, and again, maybe that's what art is. That's part of the magic. That's how you connect in that level with our instruments, and how they connect to you is through that art and that relationship. So maybe there is an AI in this guitar, so to speak, or an entity that I've learned through my relationship with it. To make something of that, we develop the language and an understanding. Perhaps that's what it is. I'm thinking, yes, I say me, but to really illustrate this to you is a real good example would be Jimi Hendrix. I imagine him as in his attachment to the guitar and the extension of that instrument in his hands. But it wasn't just him, there was such a relationship. Zappa's another example. Honestly, I think his humanity really comes out in his guitar playing. He's a hard, cynical bastard in a lot of ways. Beautiful, wonderful, genius man. And he certainly had a sense of humor, crass and dark as it may have been. And he was very wise to view things with and with the skepticism that he did in many to most respects. He was a workhorse as a composer and a person who wanted to really make something stick in his life, make something happen, make a mark, make music, be, in control of a universe. But when you listen to him play that guitar, feel those notes and just listen to him, just get into it, that instrumental stuff. He's a human being, man. He is. His heart comes out in his guitar. It's an amazing thing. It's like it's heart and soul, and it's something that's really singular. And he's a great example of that because all his accomplishments and all he's done and said and all, his incredible, role as a foundation of our culture and modern / popular culture and rock and roll history, at the very least, music in general. All of that. Just when he plays on all those accomplishments and all he did, when he picks up that guitar and plays and just lets his fingers out and it just feels the music, and just feels the instrument and has that relationship and gets into it. It's remarkable. It's beautiful. It almost chokes me up. It's one of the reasons I play, because of that relationship, that beautiful, incredible connection that you have to the soul and consciousness of this instrument. Well, you know what? I think that makes for a pretty good little jam. Some Thoughtful Thursday and a little bit of a guitar jam, which I hope had you be thoughtful in some way. So we'll be here tomorrow for Feel Free Friday. I hope you all are doing great. Have a great night, and, well, we'll wish you a great weekend tomorrow. In the meantime, yeah, thanks a lot. Keep making art. Feel love in your heart, and thank you all very much for your ear and your time.